Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a long time since I visited you through the portal of Facebook Live, but I had a lot of time to do a lot of self-reflection and sort of more like internal processing things, which, to be honest, I've never spent a lot of time doing. And I made a lot of important connections when it comes to thinking of our own health and wellness, and something I realized I'd always applied to my own health and wellness ever since I've been born. And that is that we tend to compartmentalize every aspect of what it means to be healthy. And what we're doing when we do this is we actually take out the full 360-degree scope of what's actually available to us and what true health and wellness actually looks like. So let me give you a visual picture of what I'm actually talking about. I want you to imagine like a little pie chart and think about workouts and exercise. Our understanding of those is usually relative to something like running, going to the gym, lifting weights, taking a group fitness class. And we're looking at maybe 45 to like 90 degrees of that spectrum of the 360, and we're missing out all this other stuff. So what exactly is all this other stuff? Well, exercise is a label that defines one spectrum of a sphere that's called movement. And this includes everything you do to move your body around every day. Whether it's playing with your kids or, going out to play a pickup game with some friends, or whether you're just doing activities of daily living, walking, sitting, standing. And our society takes out so many of these natural movements we were born to be doing. And I think it's a shame that we modulate our idea of movement and exercise to the small little sphere, and we forget about everything else. And once you can start tapping into that full sphere of what movement actually encompasses and start thinking about it in a more 360-degree way, it opens up a lot of doors and it becomes a lot more exploratory and experimental. And this is actually the fun part, because this is where you get to get creative and where your limits start to be broken on what it actually means to be healthy and make sure you're exercising and taking care of your body, right? So this is what a lot of the videos that I will post of what I do with my own workouts consist of. It's about breaking those barriers outside of those sort of hum and drum types of movement and exercise that we're so used to. And it's more about trying to see, well, what movements am I not doing? And why am I not doing those movements? And what does it feel like to actually do them? You learn a lot about your body. You learn a lot about what you are good at and what you may not be so good at. And that's where you can start to actually access concepts of healthy living and a healthy, well-moving body. Because until you push those boundaries and until you explore that whole sphere, you don't really know where your limits are or how far you can actually go. So I invite you guys to all start thinking about movement as a holistic component. So instead of just thinking about things in terms of getting your workout in, I want you to think about programming your movement from a standpoint of how can I add in something I'm not doing that maybe doesn't fit into these variables. Right? So if you're used to running, for instance, maybe it's time to take a Zumba class or even learn how to do some weightlifting. And then outside of that, how can you do more social activities that allow you to use and engage your body that are not limited to the spheres of working out the way we think about it, right? So I see a few of you have tuned in. I saw a few of you shouting me out here. Great. Thanks so much for saying hey. And I would love to hear some of your specific questions. So I know what I'm talking about may not make a lot of sense, but I want you guys to start sort of pushing the envelope a little bit on what you think movement training and exercise and health and wellness actually are, right? So it can be even further than just walking, really, like it can be rolling around. That's not something we ever train, but it's something that's important to know how to do. And this actually goes back to our neuromuscular development that we learn as infants. The reality is, every movement you are trying to learn as an adult is something you already knew how to do as a baby. So we are born with everything we need within our grasp. All we are doing as adults is we are relearning strategies, patterns, combinations that we have lost. And we simply lost them because our body functions with the use it or lose it policy. So Jason here is writing to me, says, movement is life, heal through movement. I totally agree, and that's why I'm here, sharing this sort of epiphany I had. And I think that we, again, are sequestering ourselves to a very limited scope of the potential movement can bring. And I'm talking about this through the lens of a dancer, right? I've danced pre and professionally up until I was 26 years old. And that was a medium that allowed me to challenge that in a way nothing else really does. And I feel like this is accessible to everyone. It's not just limited to dancers. And quite frankly, everybody should be doing these types of movements to help improve their physicality. It helps with your mobility. It helps with your flexibility. It helps with your strength. It helps teach your body how to catch itself when it's falling and prevent injuries. These are huge things that we need to live happy, healthy lives in happy and healthy bodies. And another concept I want you guys to think about is the brain-to-body connection. So when you have to navigate your body in space, which is a three-dimensional object, and then you're having to navigate, this 360 or 3D various space around you in relationship to a force of gravity, that's a whole nother kind of problem solving we don't usually interact with. Even if you're working on calculus, which is a high level of mathematical problem solving, it doesn't integrate your brain the same way movement problem solving does. And this is another aspect of why I feel movement is so important to access, especially movements that we don't normally do. And the more you can increase that variability and make sure you're playing around with new things that maybe don't look like a traditional squat. Maybe they're a little out of the box. Maybe they remind you of being a kid. These are actually fundamental components that we need to be able to feed our body, to feed our health, feed our wellness, and feed our longevity. So I'm going to challenge you guys. I want you to set aside 30 minutes to yourself sometime in the next 2 days. And all I want you to do is make sure you've got a good amount of space. If you feel safer doing this without people watching, make sure that you find a place where nobody bothers you, or at least communicate with people that you need this time for yourself. And I want you to turn on some music that you really love and just start moving around. And just start exploring ideas and positions and shapes and orientations to gravity. Maybe just doing some twisting stuff, maybe some rolling, maybe you work on some diagonal work. Maybe you bust out a dance move, something reminiscent from a movie, a John Travolta, whatever works for you. And for 30 minutes, I just want you to go bonkers. And I just want you to put your body in positions, in shapes, and orientations that you don't normally put it in. Do movements you don't normally do. Try and do something crazy like twerk. I mean, no one's watching you, who cares? But the more you can explore things that you don't normally do, the more you improve not only your body's capacity, but your brain's capacity for growth. And not to mention, you'll get a huge kick out of it. There's so many endorphins that'll come flying. It's really fun, and you get to plug into your inner child. So I invite you guys all to try that. Please let me know how it goes. I know it's a little intimidating, but again, just stick with it. Maybe you start with 10 minutes if 30 minutes sounds really scary. But find yourself a space, get some music that you like, and just jam out for that time. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave some in the comments. I'm happy to contact you directly to talk more about this stuff and to just continue the conversation. And you guys, you have a great day in the meantime, and I'll see you soon. Bye.